Mr. Walton, did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with... Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be? What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void, and I am your host, Joe Roop. Sorry about the technical delay there. Had to reset the rack again. So it's Monday night, Moon Day, right? The day of the moon, the 18th. It's good to be back. A lot of big stuff happened over the weekend and continues to happen here for the station and so on. Big shout out to our new patrons for Lighting the Void. And if you want to support this show specifically, that's the best way to do it. Like go to patreon.com/Lighting the Void, or you can grab something from our shop, which by the way, shirts are rolling out. So I'm sending you guys those tracking numbers. Corin, David, and Mary. Yeah, you're going to get your... You're definitely going to get your tote bag. I can promise you that. And this week we got a fantastic round of guests, including tonight. Michelle Lucas is here with us. And I think it's going to be an interesting conversation because this is the kind of the energy that we're stepping into now. You know, we've kind of learned some things about our own empowerment through a lot of limits and a lot of stuff that's trying to keep us down and keep us back in the old system and the old way of things, right? And a lot of us are saying, I think it's time to upgrade maybe. And this is what kind of we're going to be talking about. So this week we're going to have, Michelle's on tonight. Tomorrow night we're going to have Amarit back. That night we had lightning flashing, like striking the studio over and over again. And we were talking about, crazy thing was, we were talking about physics and what happens with that charge and what black holes were. He had his own theory about bi-objective physics, so he's going to be back. And then Santos Bonacci is going to be here this week as well. Pretty interesting week we're going to have. Also, Mary Ducene is going to come back with a new moon special. So, yeah, fun night. Going to be a fun night, going to be a fun week. If you go to patreon.com/Lighting the Void, you're going to be able to take part in the Astral Journal, the blog, the behind the scenes journal, which is something that I do where I kind of talk personally one-on-one with you about some stuff that I'm going through. and some stuff that I'm thinking based on the guests that we've talked to, etc., plus behind the scenes stuff, and all of that is about to just be poured onto the Patreon page. So go sign up if you can. All righty. Since we're running late, I want to go ahead and just bring on our guest. And Michelle's been waiting here patiently, but she's an author and speaker in the field of healing consciousness to heal life. And she's a lifelong medium, a former scientist, and the founder of Creating Forward, which is a course in consciousness. And much of her teachings come from her near-death experience, where she saw that anyone can heal their life by breaking through the shadow of humanity, and her mission is to help people do exactly that. She was born a psychic medium, and she's passionate about the effects of the spiritual part of our existence upon our lives, and for nearly 30 years, she has assisted clients in releasing that which hinders them from their purpose, their passions, and their soul. She assists them in meeting their spirit guides and in developing their own inherent intuitive healing skills. She's also the founder of Creating Forward, which is a healing course that uses the power of the mind, voice, and presence to awaken the authentic being hiding within everyone. A couple of websites you can go to for references, MichelleFaithLucas.com, also creatingforward.com. Michelle, thank you for coming on the broadcast. It's good to have you.
Well, thank you, Joe. It's great to be here.
I'm happy to have you. We had to reschedule last time. We had some tech issues right off the bat, and now we're here. So
yeah,
hopefully everything's...
We're here, ready to go.
Yeah, I know you were...
Where would you like to jump in at first?
Well, it's funny, like you were saying, as this was happening, you're like, this makes sense. Everything that's going on with the spiritual stuff is... it's a big spiritual transformation going on. There's no doubt about it. We've talked about it a million times on the show so far. It's just too obvious, if that makes any sense. It's way too obvious right now.
We're getting rebooted. I think it's been a long time coming to be rebooted into remembering who we really are. We're all powerful beings. Where we came from, where we originally are from, is so powerful. It's like we're all gods. And we have forgotten it because it has been squelched. It has been pushed down. And we've forgotten who we are. So a lot of people come up with something called like depression, when actually it's an energy pushing down on their authentic self, on that part of them that truly holds the power. And they miss it. They miss it dearly. So they always feel lost, or like there's, something they're missing. And then their life shows them that, because they don't have the connections or the love or the support. In actuality, that group where they are from, that's who they miss. They know it. And that's the issue. It's not that they are disconnected. They are remembering who they really are and feeling such a distance from it. Like they know that there's more. That then what happens as one gets older and it's time to develop that part of your being, this world tells us and tells them they can't do it. It's not right for them. They're supposed to do this occupation, or they're supposed to act a certain way. And in actuality, that builds like this shadow. And it becomes, some people call it an ego, but it's much more than just that. So it builds this facade around their own powerful self. And then they spend a lot of their life trying to move through that shadow, but they don't know that's what they're doing. So when people say, I feel like I've hit a wall, well, they really have, because that wall is like this shadow. It's a facade that they've created to be able to navigate these waters called life. And that's fine, because we have to have this identity to match up with this type of reality and what other people want from us. The issue is, from a very young age, they are deciding their likes and dislikes a lot by what is accepted and not accepted. What is told to them is real, and what's told to them is not okay. And they develop it, wonderful, more and more and more. But there is a natural time for all of us to develop higher than that. And I call it going into the heart. And that doesn't mean being prayerful or being compassionate. It's much, much beyond that. It's actually about being your authentic self, going to a place where absolutely nothing would bother you. You are into a state of grace where you allow your most authentic self to come through. So that's our natural progression. If you look at it from the spirit side, the way they see us, we're like this little seed in the ground, and we are actually being pulled forward out of the ground by our highest dimensions. And what happens is, as that seedling grows into a stalk and grows into a small tree, then that's a part of our development, and Spirit sees that as we are being pulled forward by our most powerful selves. Then we're supposed to grow into that giant tree. We're supposed to develop all these parts of ourselves, but it hasn't been allowed in this reality. And so now it's like a reboot. And I'm not saying that a God or a higher consciousness created this pandemic by any means. I'm saying when there is a darkness, when there is a shadow across the planet, I promise you this, all of our higher selves, that godlike part of us, actually turns things around and makes it useful for our greatest benefit. So this is a chance to reboot. Does that make sense, Joe?
Yeah, it makes total sense to me. It's not, I find though that the challenges keep happening though, I don't know if the retrograde thing is real or what it is, but it's like, good God, you know, every time we try to make a move, it's like the past. I feel like the past just wants to claw and claw and claw or whatever, sometimes, you know what I mean? Like I guess that happens because you just haven't really put your foot down to move on from things, or maybe I wonder about this sometimes, or maybe those old demons just kind of never really go away, and you got to learn how to tame them.
Yes. It's an unconscious program. That's how I like to say it. So, okay, if you want to address the demons, not a fun thing to address.
Sure.
And are they real? Okay. So in my near-death experience, I did see something that looked like faces of what we see on Earth in pictures and drawings that people call demons. Now, where were they? They were actually just an energy field created by humanity itself. We as humans created it. Sometimes it's almost like a shield to keep us away. Obviously, if there's some major trauma with someone, they can really develop a very strong shield to get through it. But the mass consciousness being separated from who they are created this shadow. I just call it a shadow. And it's completely dissolvable, 100%. It is not outside of our boundaries to complete and to finish. Actually, every single one of us on this planet, except for a very, very few, such as Tibetan monks, one part of our purpose here is to clear that shadow. We have that as one of our purposes. So when we have what you call the past come up again and again, it's just actually an old program that creates thought forms that then become demon-like in the energy field. Now, some people can take those thought forms and take that energy and embody it and become pretty evil human beings. But the vast majority, 99% of the people, do not do that. But the select few who do, that can be pretty scary if, they are in a place of power and where people believe in them or follow them, okay? Now, it is our purpose to dissolve this shadow. So it's going to keep coming up. But is it really a demon doing something? No, it's a thought form. It's a shadow. So what happened with me is I had a diabetic attack, and I was alone. And so this was the one time that I couldn't be saved because I did not have anyone there. My diabetes was pretty bad. And the first thing that happened when I popped out of my body is that I had this wonderful protector spirit there who had been with me my entire life. And he said, you've got to dissolve these before you can move on. And I never thought of myself as somebody who could have these shadows because I just loved everyone, But I had them. Absolutely, I had them. There were 3 faces there in front of me that were not pretty. And they were my own self-creation by not loving and honoring my own self and my own path completely. And I could never even had put a voice to that. I had no idea that I had that issue. So what my protector spirit said to me is look them in the eyes and they dissolve. It's that simple. Look them in the eyes and they dissolve. So every time this thing comes up to you, there's something comes up from the past, you look it in the eyes. It's just a program. It is a program from what the mass consciousness has told us is okay and not okay and who you are. And we play small, and we're not small. We affect this consciousness, this world, with our actions and our beliefs and our insight and our vision and our abilities to actually walk through that damn shadow. All of us have that power. And since the mass consciousness does not want us to know that, or those in power, whoever does not want us to know that, what do? We keep playing small. So we feed into it, even by not loving and honoring our own paths, our own journeys enough. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter what a mistake or a thought, whatever that you feel like has been a mistake. Who you really are is in a field of complete grace and does not even see that mistake. And you have to have that self-care and knowing enough to say, I'm just going to keep walking through this because I'm good. I am here for a purpose. And actually, much more happened in my near-death experience. I won't go into right this second, but I went across the void. And it was just an instant. And I saw every spirit in existence, every soul in existence. And what was so poignant to me is that every single person, every being's unique being, their unique imprint, your unique path is absolutely necessary for the balance of this universe. It's absolutely necessary for our truth to come out. So when you hit a wall or you think something's coming up again, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's not because you did something wrong. It's because you're not honoring your own path as perfect.
Yeah, I like that what you said,
yourself.
playing small, that we keep playing small. That's kind of, been my life story. You've got all this massive potential inside you, and everybody does.
Yeah.
But we play small. That's funny. That's a good phrase.
Yes, it's like there's a fear somewhere, and I'm sure our parents showed us what that is because it came with us from another dimension, from past lives or whatnot. But whatever your youngest age memories that would now instill this either guilt or shame or fear of retribution, whatever it is a program that keeps trying to run you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So if you can get in touch with that, that's your demon. If you want to call it that, and please know, they don't exist outside of the human consciousness, but they are a real thought form. And so they want to stay alive, for lack of a better term. They want to keep that program going. So they're going to fight. So that's another important point here, is that if you're getting that coming back up, that's actually a good sign, because that means they're fighting and that you are winning. because they wouldn't struggle to come back into your consciousness if you were not winning. And because no one tells people this, they give into it and think, I can't do it. It comes to, something terrible comes up in their lives again. And I promise you, that's what happened to me over and over and over. Some of the most hideous injuries since I was young, illnesses, lost a kidney at the age of 11. It just went on and on and on. My pain never ended. And then my baby girl, the worst pain any mother can imagine if you're told that your baby girl probably won't live. They said that she had bone cancer. There was no worse moment in my life, and they were wrong, Joe. They were wrong. And she's still kicking today at 23 years of age. And when that left for me, Joe, when that finally left is when I let it go and I ran a new program. And one day I woke up and I did what I did every other day. And that was get in the shower, and I was going to put the same clothes on, the same wardrobe to go to my corporate job. But my heart and soul was never into that. My heart and soul was into this. But there was no way in my reality that I could financially leave that world when I had 2 children who needed me, one in college, out-of-state college, costing us $40,000 a year, daughter getting ready to go to out-of-state college. No way could I give up that income. And this one day, totally unconscious, like these programs are unconscious, I apparently put on a different pair of clothes than I ever would. It was from my spiritual stuff that I do, and when I teach or if I do Reiki or whatever. I noticed it driving to work. And I said to myself, this is going to be a very different day. Then I noticed that I was walking all my coffee mugs and stuff out to my car as the day went on. And after lunch, this lady chased me out to my car, asking me for my personal email. And I said, why? And she said, because you're leaving. And I said, no, I'm not leaving. I can't leave. And at 3 p.m., Joe, I unconsciously walked out wearing my spiritual clothes, walked out and never came back. And 2 weeks later, everything changed. My whole life opened up. All my illnesses, all my pains went away. My daughter gets a full ride scholarship plus. She got paid to go to college. And where did I want to live? In my heart and soul, Sedona, Arizona. I couldn't imagine how that could possibly happen. It all happened after I changed the program. I went what was in my heart and soul. Okay? So how does someone trust in that? And how does someone even get in touch with it if their shadow is trying to survive? Well, if it's trying to survive and it's showing you these difficult things, this is a good thing. It means you are winning. So you keep going. And just baby steps, that's all you need. And get in touch with who you really are. That little child that came in, that child who had no judgments on themselves, no concerns. What happens at some point often from doing, because I'm a medical intuitor and I could see spirit and whatnot. One of the things I've noticed a lot with clients is that they aren't in their body. They are barely in their body because they don't feel safe. So before you make a big jump, usually one of the first things is to get into your body, be completely present, feeling safe. And once you can master that and feel completely safe, here, now, in this moment, you will find a groundedness and a connection to everything you need, this all source of nourishment that you need. And then you will begin getting more and more in touch with your purpose, because we all have a purpose, And part of it will be to dissolve that shadow. That's why it comes up, Joe. And all you have to do is look it in the eyes. That makes sense?
Yeah, look at it in the eyes and tell it what's up. You know?
That's it. It's not it's not gonna win. It's not gonna win. It can't.
Yeah, it can't, like it does do that. It's kind of like the you know, when I was raised Christian, so it does kind of remind me of that scripture where Christ was tempted 3 times by the devil. And you always wonder, like, why was he not tempted once or twice? It's because these demonic energies or whatever they are. We don't have to look at them as enemies or anything like that.
Right.
It's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like it comes back and tests you a few times just to make sure. And then kind of, if you really think about it too, I think sometimes the demon will smile back at you when you've defeated it sometimes too, because it's just doing its job.
That. I like that, Joe. Yeah. It's just so much of it so unconscious. People don't even know. Like myself, I never thought of myself as possibly having such a thing around me, because, you know, I was in love with love. You know, it just, love was my whole thing. And yet there they were when I first came out of my body. And they were the embodiment of what I was not in the program I was running, which it was, although I was trying to help all these other people, my whole life was revolved around helping these people, channeling for them, Reiki, whatever it was, I really wasn't taking care of myself. I really didn't honor my path enough. In a way, I was so worried about them. And really, that's just a reflection of me not being in my body completely. It was a reflection of how I felt about myself. And they were just the embodiment of that. And they kept wanting to go. They kept wanting me to go run out and chase, help all these people, especially these murder victims. That was especially very hard on me and my body. And I've met quite a few other people like that, and they may not even know that's what's happening with them. I have a dear friend back in Ohio who has had migraines since she was like 14, and this was a very severe thing. I mean, it seems like 80% of her life, if not more, she's in bed with migraines. And she was raised Catholic, I believe, and no experience in this realm. But I didn't know her when her husband, I worked with her husband. And her husband, after I kind of fessed up to him in my corporate job, who I really was, what I really did, he said, "Would you please help my wife?" And her issue was that she had spirits talking through her constantly. They wanted her attention. So I showed her how to just, let that out if they're there, but also kind of protect yourself. So what was happening, and it still happens to her, is that she'll be at a grocery store, and if she's near someone who just lost a loved one, and that loved one really wants to give them a message, her head begins hurting so bad she can't stand it, and she just has to give this person this message. And those people, some of them are empaths. They're absorbing energy from everywhere. Some of them are just simply mediums, and they don't know it. And that was happening to me when I was younger, and I just had no idea what was going on. And there were times where these murder victims would come to me, and I would feel their pain of what happened to them. And that I kept doing because I felt so sorry for the families, left behind. I always thought I could help. And actually, it was really wearing down my body. And that was a part of this shadow of mine. was that there is a divine order to everything, just everything. To set back the ego and just let it unfold, but not playing small in it, it's the balance act. What does that mean? Well, playing small is believing that our consciousness is not affecting this reality. All of our consciousness creates this reality and affects this reality constantly. The thing is, we have all these different dimensions to our consciousness. Our bodies are conscious. We have cellular memory. Our hearts beat without us telling it to beat. But so interestingly, our breath, we can breathe without telling ourselves to breathe, or we can control our breath. Like if you're running really fast, your heart speeds up on its own, but you can actually slow down the rhythm of your breathing. And those parts of our consciousness can really shape and alter our realities. Our emotions are another dimension of our consciousness. They have a whole program of their own. Sometimes, we just can't stop our emotions when they come up. They are a consciousness body around us, our egos, our identities. But if you go up higher than that, into the soul and the heart, and even up higher to our connection with who we really are, well, those lower parts are not going to have control over us anymore.
Right. Yeah. It's not,
yeah.
I mean, it's like, you can recognize them when they're coming up. You can recognize them when they're coming up in yourself, and when they're coming up in other things and other people. And you just be like, you don't have, like, I feel like you don't have to be the slave to it anymore, kind of thing,
Right. I agree with you, Joe, very much. And it's just, again, it's so unconscious. There's people out there who really think they're helping other people, and they are. Yet, a lot of that's a control, because they want to control that. They don't want somebody else to hurt. Okay? Well, sometimes on those people's paths, they are not going to get it. They're not going to wake up until they have the hurt, because the hurt is actually their own demons, their own shadow that they are dissolving, that they are going through. So that's just an example. Not everyone's like that. I'm not saying that. But there's a lot of people who help other people, but what's unconscious is that they're trying to control the outcome. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, that does make a lot of sense. The more I think about it.
Yeah, and it's not everyone. I'm just giving an example. And why would somebody want to control an outcome? Because they don't want to hurt themselves, right?
Right.
No, they don't want to see anyone else hurt. They don't want to feel bad. They don't want the discomfort. But from my near-death experience, this whole suffering thing is like insanity. It's absolute insanity. Where I went in that near-death experience, we watched the earth and the people. Suffering was never a part of this design. We've done this. And the reason they can't just come down and grab our hands and get us out of suffering is because they are not in a field of suffering. They are holding us up. You don't want them to come down. I mean, you can say Jesus did. That's a huge deal. Okay? Huge. But we need them, and we need to move up to that consciousness. We have to get out of this suffering thing. This was not a part of any plan on earth. And we have created it. And I think that's part of what's going on with this big shift right now on the earth. I think a lot of things are going to be uncovered. Things like hunger especially. And, inequalities around food, I think will come up. And that's what happens. The darkness comes up in a myriad of forms. But it sure doesn't have to if we each individually just move ourselves through our own shadows, which are connected to other people as well. It's not like one person has their own thought forms. I call them thought forms instead of demons. You know, we've done this together. So we can undo it together, but since each of us are so powerful, then why not just do your own work, your own consciousness shift on all those dimensions? And that, you know, it's like a seedling coming out, and we become a small tree. We have all these other branches to ourselves that we can develop.
Yeah.
All these other, right? This field of grace, this field of this higher plane. In that plane, I should add here. So in that plane, we are all connected, like we are here. We're breathing the same air here, right? Okay. It is impossible. It's impossible that these higher beings, whoever it is, if you are devoted to or you believe in, let's say like a Jesus, it's impossible for them not to be with you. Impossible. They are everywhere, and with you all of the time. Have you ever had like a feeling like that at all, Joe? Or
yeah, like I have, because I found myself in some of the most frustrating situations in my life, and it gets to the point of where if you don't surrender to that kind of, it's almost like a forced surrendering, you know, like, because if you don't surrender to it, it's gonna rip you apart, you know, and
right.
And so once you surrender to it, you just kind of give control to something else, you know. And you start seeing that whatever that is actually looking out for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they are. It's impossible for them not to be. That's a word I want to get across. You know, people are looking for help or looking for answers. It's impossible for them to not be there, not be responding. And I know our third dimensional brains cannot conceive of that because we're all in this third dimension. But it is a multidimensional universe, for lack of a better word. Okay, let's see, the void, okay, where I went. I've just heard it called the void, and I don't know what other word to use, okay?
Sure.
Because when I left my body, at first, I was still identified with Michelle when I saw the shadows. And I continued on, and at one instant, you know, just in an instant, it was like I popped into my spirit. Okay, so our spirits are everywhere. There is absolutely no place our spirits are not. Our spirits are across infinity. They're eternal. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Inside
entangled
of that,
with everything, pretty much. You know, yeah.
Yeah. And inside of that is all of this that we call planets and stars and our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I saw planets and stars. They were not physical. They were all consciousness.
Right.
They were beings of consciousness. And one, what we call a planet, would be like a Egyptian god. Okay? So one of the planets, stars that I saw was Sirius. And they were all beings that looked identical to Anubis. Every one of them. I don't know how many, but I mean, I don't know. They were just like us, like on Earth in a way, but they were light bodies. They weren't so physical like you and I. And so that consciousness, they they are in this huge like honor system. Like they just honor the past of everyone to such a high degree that if another person's past does not resonate with theirs, they would not be able to even connect, or that person would not come into their reality.
Yeah.
So they live, does that make sense? Where you and I, in this world, it's like, oh, let's just connect with anybody who's not good for our path, and let's them give us a lesson.
We all watch too much TV, man. I mean, that's what.
That's it.
What it is.
That's it. Yes. So that consciousness of every idea in the universe, every idea of God, if you want to say, every idea, every possibility is moving through us. And here we are as the bodies in between, and we've created these instruments to prove to ourselves that those things are out there and that they're physical. And we've done a pretty good job because we've created the instruments to prove to ourselves that those stars and those planets are all physical things reflecting back at us.
Right.
But they're not. And they are consciousness that is moving and the universe is expanding. So at every single instant, that universe is different. It will never, ever, ever be the same. The planets, nothing will be in the same configuration because they are expanding. So every single instant that anyone is born, that consciousness is in a unique vibration. It's in a unique alignment. And every being that could ever possibly be born is a unique imprint of the divine. Then we come here and we start growing up, and we're told that we're not from a very young age. We're told that, we're an engineer. Okay? Or you're this because you're either going to be just like your dad, which is great, or you're not because you'll never be good enough, or whatever it is. And we start choosing unconsciously likes and dislikes. We start choosing unconsciously what makes us feel good because mom or whoever, when I had this response, I always got positive feedback. So we unconsciously create this paradigm for ourselves. And at the age of approximately 28 to 32, when astrologers call the Saturn return happens, well, that's the point where we were supposed to have gone into the heart. We were supposed to move beyond our ego and instead allow that divine imprint that we are to come through and show itself. And when we have it, that's when the big Saturn retrograde happens and says, oh, wait, is this who you really are? And you get a chance to make that choice. And I know I didn't. I know that's when I went into the corporate world, which was fine. I had a lot of lessons there. I got, the paycheck. And, but at the same time, I didn't understand it all myself either. And it is how I've learned a lot of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It makes total sense. And I it's like, everything you're saying is making sense, and it's kind of synchronistic too, in so many ways. So it has to be. That's what I'm saying. Like it has to be synchronistic for others too. I think. I don't think people. I think people. A lot of things are changing for a lot of people, and it's for some people and really embrace it, and some people it's tough. It just depends. Like everybody's different,
Yeah.
It's not going to be as easy for everybody else, and we need to realize that too. I think because sometimes something may seem super easy for us to do, but not so easy for someone else, and it's not because they're on different levels or anything like that. It's because we're all in different situations, and when a reality kind of shifts or a timeline shifts or anything like that happens, man, it just shakes you up,
Yes.
It's a shake-up kind of thing.
It definitely has me. Yeah. It has me many a time.
So,
Yes.
So we have some people like in our community that are going through career changes, and career changes are super scary for them. You know, they're going through spiritual
Sure.
changes too, relationship changes, things like that. And sometimes it's more than one. It just depends on where you're at. And I think it's awesome, because for me, it kind of validates all of the stuff that we've been trying to do here and or talking about. And I'm not going to lie and say that I've never had doubts about the things that I've been talking about. But
Sure.
there's so many things that validate just the thoughts or the ideas of them, I guess, you know?
Yeah. For those people, I would never belittle their struggles. And I know myself, I thought I was going to die several times, and I know how tough it can be. And it did take me to owning my own self, my own path, my heart and soul, and then my entire world changed for the better, and has never gone back to any trouble. So let me give you what the beauty, though, is, okay? It's that person who may be changing careers or changing relationships, whatever it is, okay, that perfect match for you, whether it be career, job, money, finances, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, husband, wife, okay, that person, that being, that state of bounty, whatever it is, you on a higher plane are already there. You already have the better job. You already have the better relationship. And you're conspiring to get the little person lined up to it. That's not just one thing that I saw.
Like the bigger person, the bigger being is conspiring to your little being. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, but yes, our bigger being absolutely is. It's pulling us forward. That's why my creating forward work is about getting our consciousness creating along with it. But I think some of this is actually going on dimensions not far from here, like the fifth dimension, okay? And I'll give you a good example. So I'm in the corporate world and working with someone new who I don't know from Adam. And we're working late, and oh my gosh, in this kind of dark, seedy area of the city, and we end up going to dinner together because there was nothing, no other possibility, really. We hadn't eaten all day, and again, I really didn't know him at all, and we sat looking out at a street. And so I'm not even looking at this person. I couldn't even tell you what he looked like, hardly, right? All I know is I'm really, really tired from work. And something really funny happened in front of us. And we laughed. And at that moment, I didn't just hear us laughing. I heard me and him laughing, like at a fifth dimension, like I could hear us laughing. And this really startled me because I was in the corporate world and had gotten to a real complacent place that I was not going to pursue my spiritual work. Because I had the paycheck, I didn't want the pain anymore. I was associating the pain with all my spiritual work, not to mention all the mediumship stuff. It really was emotionally very hard for me when someone was killed or something. I was absolutely not going to go back to my spiritual work. And I'm just thinking about getting to bed. And me and this man are laughing together in this higher plane, and all of a sudden my psychic senses are kicking in. And I'm like, I don't want my psychic senses back. I'm like, I don't want to do with that,
Really?
And my guides came rushing in, and they said, oh, yes, you do. This is what you've always wanted. And I talked back to them, and I'm like, why could I hear me and this man laughing? And they said, because the two of you are going to be together. He's the person that's going to get you out of the corporate world. And the food was coming off my tongue. I had my mouth open. I don't know what he's doing next to me. He's just eating.
Yeah.
And I yell at them, I will not, I will never date this man. And they said, oh, yes, you will. And I'm yelling at them, and they're showing me how me and him on this higher plane of existence was actually creating all of this so that not only would we be together, but that I would get to my work what I always wanted to do. And all of that happened. All of it. 18 months later, we started seeing each other. And all of it happened. He is largely the reason I walked out that day that I told you about, out of the corporate world. And so those people struggling, the best is happening for you. It's actually, the whole universe is conspiring for your best. We just can't always see it. And it was hell, Joe. Okay? It was hell relationship. I could have, kicked him hard many, 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 many times. But that is what got me to that place where I was so weakened that then I go and get injured. I got injured really quite a doozy at work. And the pain was a 10 because it was a nerve damage.
Wait a minute. So,
and when you're in a lot of pain.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. No, finish your story. I apologize.
No, don't apologize. But when you're in a lot of pain, when you just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? When I didn't care anymore and I walked out, guess who came back in my life? Guess who moved with me to Sedona?
Yeah.
You see, those people are getting that as well. They've got to trust it. Because I promise you, the entire universe is conspiring for your happiness. I call it your race. Go ahead.
But what if it's never shown you that, but maybe, let's say, for instance, you've never saw it conspire for your happiness, but now all of a sudden it's trying to. How do you trust it if it's never done it? Or at least you think it's never done it. I don't know.
Just the baby steps of radiance, bounty, freedom, and completion. Radiance, freedom, bounty, and completion. Completion is the feeling of love. Okay? That's when all of us are together.
Right, yeah.
We just need to match up to that. I know it can be baby steps. So many people come in with a soul that has already been damaged, that's bad words, but something to work out with their soul so that they're no longer that little tiny tree. There's a big giant oak tree.
The oak tree, huh?
I was one of those people. I was in pain most of my life until the recent years, and always had an injury, always had something.
How old were you when this
awful.
stopped?
When it stopped?
Yeah, if you don't mind me asking.
Mid-40s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was still getting, let's see, when did I leave? Boy, I guess I left in 2013. So that was when I was, that was the last and final injury. And it took me to walk out and not even do anything. And another thing was so beautiful, Joe, is I was blessed enough to be able to go to Bali by myself.
Wow.
For 3 weeks. And I met Katut Lier from Eat, Pray, Love, and I met some other very wise people. And I gave them my dilemma, all the same dilemma, and they all said the same thing back, and they were so right. He said, you've got to do whatever is best for you, not your children. And they believe in it this way, which I kind of agree with them. They say, when you're not being true to yourself, Michelle, all of the bad spirits bother you. They call them monkey spirits, like the little monkey spirits. They're like teasers. They're like the Native American coyote. They're the jokesters. They're the ones that trick you in to walking out of your job. Okay? They say when you're not on your path, all the bad spirits will always keep bothering you. But as soon as you are, they leave you alone, Michelle, and then everything becomes joyful. That's exactly what happened, Joe. Not just for me, but for my children. Yeah. Everything has been just beautiful in every way, shape, or form. So, the radiance. How do you radiate anything if you haven't even found it? Because your life has been such a struggle, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you get fed like crumbs, and you're like, can I get some bread and water over here? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. Their consciousness. I'm not saying their brains and their thoughts. I'm not saying that they're doing anything wrong. They're not. It's the program. It's the consciousness that wants you to believe in it completely. Do something for yourself. Do something for yourself that would make you feel radiant, complete, joyful, bountiful. That is our natural state. We are the ones that have fallen out of that natural state. When we first came to Earth, or wherever we were first from, we were light bodies, just like I saw my near-death experience with all these different. I saw Egyptian gods. I saw angels. I saw goddesses. Jesus I had seen years before, even though I wasn't Christian. And they've all taught me in such amazingly different ways. And they are in their natural state. Okay? That's how we originally were. And there was this fall. The fall was in our consciousness. And so how do you find love when you've been battered, right? I mean, those are the people that, weigh on my mind a lot. What do I tell these people? That's just the same program that is running everywhere. It's that you're not worthy, okay? It starts out with a non-worthiness. That's a demon. There's no place for it. There's no place for violence. There's no place for suffering. That crap has no divine order to it. So it gets really frustrating to me because, okay, there's teachers that teach different things and everybody receives in different ways. They learn in different ways. So great. Learn through forgiveness. Great. There's lots of teachers that will teach you that, and there's a lot of people who will match up to it, and they will learn and they'll feel better because they forgive. But I promise you, there is no place for any type of violence. And it's not forgivable. Who is doing the forgiving and who are you forgiving? The place to go is grace. Rise up into that being who you are and realize this crap that you see, this violence, this inequality, this lack of food, that all of this suffering is of the shadow. It's something that was created by the masses, and the masses are unconsciously playing out the shadow. 99% of people are not evil, okay? They're caught in that unconsciousness. They're caught in that shadow. That's what happens with war. It starts with a couple bad people, and everyone else just jumps on the bandwagon.
Right,
okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's politics, too, for sure.
Yes. And these people aren't mean, evil creatures. They step into that shadow and then act it out. So you can say you're forgiving the shadow because the soul had no intention of violence upon you. Yet that program that started of a lack of worth or fear or whatever it is can't be running anymore. And once you let go, and let God, if you want to say it that way, but we have to match up so that we are in a really good vessel to receive. We go up to grace, which to me is beyond forgiveness. You will not see anything to forgive. And once you get there, it's no longer in the consciousness. It's no longer in your life. So I wouldn't have that person working hard on forgiveness. That's just because that's a part of what I do. Okay, if it's right for them, they got to go with what's right for them. But if they can go into the grace where there is nothing with this soul that is violent, okay? You see it as a low shadow. It can't be in your life anymore. So the unworthiness programs, the weak programs, the playing small programs, they're in all of us. That's the other thing I should say. It's in all of us. It's in all of us, even the hideous violence. Because if you can watch it on TV, then it's in your consciousness, okay? So when someone plays it out, it's kind of a match. We have to match up. Go ahead.
What do you mean? I got to take a break here. Like, this is all, yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot for me because I didn't even. Yeah, so I'm gonna take a break here. We'll be right back. Pretty intense stuff.
Okay.
Stay with us.
Okay, Jeff. Sure.
This is Crow 777, and you are listening to the Fringe FM.
Right, me old Chiners. I know it's an ad break, but before you lot shoot off and make yourself a cup of Rosie Lee or whatever else it is you're going to sling down your Gregory Peck, you need to listen to me babble. If, like me, you found your way to light in the void via a downloadable podcast, you might want to take a butcher's at the Fringe FM Wind and Kite. You won't Adam and Eve how many other shows there are or what they rabbit on about. Ancient history, conspiracy, the consciousness, the esoteric, the occult, metaphysics, parapolitical, ufology, technology and spirituality, to name but a few. They got featured hosts like Ryan Gable, Jeremy Scott, Alex Exum, Tim Doyle, Cortana and Gigi, Susanna Ross, the Reverend John Polk, Michael Deacon and J.D. Lewis. You might find yourself listening to the thoughts and theories of the author of The Fish you just finished reading. Or you could pick up the dog and bone, call in and tell everyone your own beliefs or experiences. So do me a favour, before you put on the Ansel or crack open a bottle of vino or roll a joint, go to the Fringe FM and see what you're missing.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
depths of your mind. It's Lighting the Void with Joe Root.
Have you ever seen an ad or banner which brought you a feeling that someone is reading your mind or even listening to your conversations? Your online data is being used against you. Surfshark is a VPN service that makes online privacy protection easy and attainable. You can use it on as many devices as you'd like simultaneously. Surfshark encrypts all internet traffic sent to and from your devices and ensures that your IP address remains hidden. The VPN service that we use at UFO Seekers, plus 1 month free for $1.99 a month. Visit surfshark.deals/seekers.
This is Barbara Charlton from Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes those emotions. The circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You won't believe the results.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm, or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Hey, I'm J.M. DeBoard, and when I want to talk about dreams, I look up my man Joe Root and his show, Lighting the Void.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. Michelle Lucas, our guest tonight. Tomorrow night, I'm Rich Tolley. We'll be back. Wednesday night, Santos Bonacci. Thursday, Lori McDonald. And Friday night, Mary Ducina will be here. The New Moon Special. We'll be back for the Strawberry Moon. That's going to be the new full moon that's coming. Michelle, I got to tell you, like, you know, I didn't talk to you before the show. Like, I didn't, I got on here just like scrambling, trying to get everything to work right. And it's just been kind of like my story for the past month. I was trying to get everything to work right technically. And just, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, you know, and it's,
okay.
I mean, like pretty much everything you're saying is kind of spot on. And usually, I feel like I could kind of help out by, you know, help give the message that the guest is trying to give. But when you're nailing stuff that's happening to me and I'm sure a bunch of other people, it's kind of hard to deal with. Because, so what I'm trying to explain to you is like 1, synchronicity, 2, 3, whatever, that's things happen.
Yeah.
Like 10, 12, 15, you know, it gets overwhelming, and I don't know what, there's nothing to say.
Right.
You know, so I feel kind of speechless right now at the moment.
They're markings of the shift that you're going through. You know, all of us. It's going to be so much better for you, though. Okay, and just so much better for you. And for some reason, greenery is really important with you, and like forest greenery kind of stuff. Like that's your energy, and maybe you haven't been spending time with your, you know, what regenerates you. Okay, so self-cultivation.
Not for lack of trying, I can tell you that. But yeah, you're right.
Have you been trying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the shifts start, they go through all of our dimensions of being. Physical, it's about being in your body, okay? Being present, and your tribe. Your tribe. You know, we have these tribes, these people that we respond to, we work with, we have relationships with, whatever, that possibly are a part of our old paradigm that we don't get rid of. Okay?
Yeah.
That can be triggers for us. And it's just, what kind of energy, what kind of interactions do we have with our tribe? Do we really need that? Are we still playing out an old program? Those are the kinds of things that come up in the physical. Then the emotional is where we reach out. Okay, this is like such a beautiful thing with our emotions, is that my understanding is that it's very unique on this planet. Now, I don't know that for certain. I don't. I have had visits with aliens, or they visited me, and I think that may be a part of your past as well. And the first one was not fun. And I do believe they chipped me. And there was no emotions, right? Like with these beings from other places, there's no emotions, but it doesn't mean it's bad. We have this thing that they don't understand, and it's an energy, this emotional body. And we act on it, and we make decisions based on it, okay? And I'm sure a lot of these decisions we've made also affect them. But what we get, this beautiful, beautiful ability to come to Earth and feel the water on our skin, to breathe the air, to smell the flowers. We get to touch another human being, kiss another human being, hug another human being. That was the basis of our emotions. It is an inspiration to create and procreate. Okay? That inspiration makes us grow, and it gives us direction.
But what happens if you, okay, I see where you're going with that, but like, what happens when I can, let's say, just as an example, and I don't want to, I have to use examples in this situation, right? So, or analogies or whatever. Let's say I got 2 cans here in front of me, because I actually do. I touch this can, and it does, I mean, I give this can the same love, or try to, or at least I think I did. Maybe I didn't, but it doesn't, there's nothing there, no connection. Blingo. I touch this can, and it dang near knocks me on the ground. The connection's so strong.
Are we talking about beer cans here?
Yeah, we could be talking about beer cans. I'm just looking at cans right here, so I use an analogy. But what? Okay. So if this is like the initial thing for whatever what you were talking about, some kind of program, then why am I connecting to this one and not that one?
Okay, damn good question. Lots of different possibilities. Let's get to the gut of it. Okay, there's one thing that's happening. One thing. We're expanding. The whole universe is expanding. You and I are expanding, okay? The question is, are we going along with it or not? Okay? So we have decided, before we ever came here, we're going to expand. We're going to show a part of ourselves, a part of the divine plan in life. Now, you're not doing it, okay? Because you're playing small, okay? And so that part of you says, hey, now Joe's over there playing small. Joe's over there sitting on his butt, not being who he really is, not honoring himself. Let's bring this person into Joe's life. And Joe on a higher plane is going, oh, yes, please do. Please do. Because when that person comes in, I'm going to have such an inspiration to be with that person. And then it's going to evolve into emotional, and it's going to really make me follow a different path that makes me expand and grow. Okay? Now, I think that's what first came through for me. So it's probably what's happening with
I
you.
said can, but whatever. So, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you also have, here's a really good example, all this past life stuff. And I promise you, Joe, this is not stuff I've learned through books. Okay. It's personal experience that was extraordinary. From the time I was born, I could see spirits. From the time I was born, I remembered so many past lives. I had no idea what they were. And I didn't know, but I thought everybody was seeing the spirits. I thought everybody was talking with them. Yeah. And since the spirits were so good and peaceful, for the most part, I thought adults were just like the meanest, disgusting beings on earth, because I'm not going to be an adult because they don't go along with this beautiful joy that the spirits provide.
Yeah.
Well, the past life thing was really hard, and it really shows up in so many people's lives, and they just have no idea. So for me, and this is not something I like talking about because it's so incredibly personal, but I feel like I'm supposed to say it. I did not like saying it at all. But I remembered being raped to death by 5 men at the end of World War I. Okay?
That's so bad. Oh.
Now, I'm sorry, say that again?
That's so awful. I'm sorry you had to remember that or go through that.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's important if it can help people. And that's why I'm saying this. If it could help somebody out there, that's why I'm giving this light to it, okay? Now, I didn't really understand it other than I had great anger for no reason. Like, I had, easy childhood, lots of love, especially from my grandparents.
Yeah, me too.
Really, yeah. Lots of anger. And if anyone slightly did something, maybe my grandfather paid attention to a cousin before he paid attention to me, and I would say, how can you do this to me? How can you do this to me? And the rape thing then started becoming very apparent. Because I would have flashes of it, but also, by the time I was 13, I mean, it was like the sexual energy through me was not normal. And it was in a very aggressive manner. It then took the form of me going to college and almost being raped twice. Once in the snow with a knife at my throat. And as I never ever talk about, I know people online who's hearing this, they're hearing it for the first time. And then by a gang of frat boys, I was there for a party and I was drunk. And I was in a stairwell when they attacked me. And that exit door, you could not get in, right? You could only get out. And they attacked me, they had me on the ground, they had my pants off, and some angel, I have no idea, some man comes barging in that door, don't know how, literally beat the crap out of him.
I would have killed him.
Okay, so my life, thank you, yes. I was matching up to that same program. My anger, my relationships, my God, I'd get angry. Kept matching up. Here's the key. I kept saying, how could you do that to me? How could you do that to me in my relationships with my father, whoever? Then, in my 20s, my late 20s, I have the full dream. I have the full dream. Being in Austria, the soldiers, I saw them all. The first soldier I saw was my husband in this lifetime. And we were married at the time.
Yeah.
And I looked at him in that lifetime, and he knew these men were taking me away to kill me. He knew that. And I looked him in the eyes, saying with my eyes, if you take me, I'll give you my body. I'll give you my body. I'll give you myself if you save me.
Wow.
And his expression back was, I can't, they'll kill me. But I would. And so the 5 men took me and my sister away, raped us both to death. And I left my body before my body died. And what I saw were these 5 very unconscious men. They had absolutely no evil in them. They were
robots?
acting on a plane of evil. Yeah, which a lot of people become. Because they're caught up in the energy of the violence of the war, whatever. And what I was saying to them when I was dying, Joe, guess what I was saying to them? How could you do this to me? How could you do this to me?
Yeah.
And then I matched it all up. I thought, oh my goodness, every relationship, everything it was. How could you do this to me? That's always what I said. And my husband
That's so awful.
is still
I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you. Well, I hope it's to teach people that some of this is from another plane and you can get rid of it. You can just absolutely dissolve it.
I mean, I can relate in a way, but not that. Nothing like that, but that how could you do this to me feeling, trust me, I know that feeling. Yeah.
You got it. Okay. So it can come from another place. And guess what you do? You're attracted to those same people. So I married the man who wouldn't save me. And guess what he does? All he's ever done is try to save me. He will do anything for me. He is a wonderful, wonderful man. And to this day, he'll do anything for me. Because but do you know how many times I said to him, how could you do this to me?
Probably a million.
A million. And he has an inner soul guilt, and he's trying to make up for that. So I dated a few of these men.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is my current partner. Okay? Now, this is the kicker. Okay? I was teaching my Creating Forward classes online. This is beautiful. And I'm understanding a lot of this more about myself. I'm trying to let all this go. And I just walked out of the corporate world. And I'm teaching them online. But I also had a few people that would come to my basement and to listen in person. And that morning, here's another time where I get up and I put on different clothes unconsciously. So I get up and I have my clothes laid out on the bed and I don't put them on, which is very spiritual, hippie clothes. Instead, I put on, I dress myself all up. I'm curling my hair and did all this crap to my hair. And on that day, I'm teaching this about past lives and emotions.
But you're dressing up corporately?
I just dressed way over the top. And when I look at myself, I said, I look like I'm dressing for the guy that I loved, and we were apart at the time. I'm not dressing for this group. I'm dressing.
That makes sense. Okay.
For him.
Yeah. I got what you're saying.
And guess who showed up? Yeah, our bodies know this stuff. Our bodies are big antennas to the universe. So he shows up. In this is so embarrassing. In this class, I break down crying because as I'm bringing up all the emotions and everything came together and I'm like channeling it. Oh my God, how many times I said to this man, how could you do this to me? How could you do this to me? And I totally pushed him away because I'm like, how could you do this to me? F you, I'm walking away.
Yeah.
Guess what I did? I stopped saying, how could you do this to me? I honored his path. I just stopped. And it's never happened again. Everything's been beautiful.
That's kind of what I was going to tell you. Like, I got to that point where I got tired of disappointment because it just, maybe you stop. You're like, whatever I'm doing, this is what I got to. It's like, whatever I'm doing, ain't working, right? It just,
Yes.
it ain't working. So I'm just going to be what I want in my life. That's what I'm going to be. And no matter what tries to push my buttons, no matter who does it or how they do it, they're not going to break me.
Yes. That's it. And, you know, whatever they've done that's apparently hurt you, I'm sorry for that. But at the same time, what I've learned is that if you can honor their path, it's a part of their path. Don't have the expectations at all on them.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You raise into grace. And in that field of grace, it's like the universe shows itself to you. Everything matches up. I haven't had to worry about a thing since I walked out and moved to Sedona. When I should have, because I lost my paycheck. But everything has been handed to me since I did this, since I stepped into my truth. And our truth is not jealous. And our truth is not hurt by somebody else's action. But again, no place for violence. Okay, because suffering is not our natural state. We created that. So if we can match up a little bit more, we are naturally free. And that's part of our anger. It's part of our issues, is we know in our soul that we are very free. But here we are in a body, in a system, and all of a sudden things feel like we're not free. And our consciousness, our ego tries to fight that. So whatever makes someone feel free, like if it's being in the forest, okay, for some people it's being at the ocean. For me, it's the Red Rocks, okay? Relationships. I would beg you to start a practice where you're more in your element. Freedom.
It's not
that doesn't
easy.
mean running away
Tell
from
you that.
somebody.
Tell you
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't mean running away from somebody. That's what people teach each other. Oh, this person, they're not honoring you. They're treating you like crap or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to get them out of your life. That's not always true. Okay. Because it's their shadow that's doing it. Now, no kind of violence. I don't condone any of that, whether it's verbal, physical, doesn't matter.
I thought that, seriously, I thought that about my exes, like my ex, well, just basically one ex, the one I had my child with, right? I thought, you know what, you don't appreciate me, this kind of thing. I'm not even going to talk to you, whatever. And come to find out, it was one of those situations where, she came into this world for us to meet. I'm pretty sure she's in my soul family, but for me to have a son, and that's a big thing.
Yes.
Right. And that.
Oh, Joe, I love that.
That
yes.
is never going to go away.
No.
And I accepted it, I think, before probably she did, that, look, you're always going to be in my life, whether you like it or not, so, yeah.
We
it's not
don't
like I'm
find
never going to
love by
stop
running from it.
Right. It's like, I'm not ever going to stop caring about you or loving you, but we just don't grow together. And that's okay, I think, because you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not growing spiritually, I don't know what you're doing. And that's just me, though, but I can't relate myself to other people. So I got to stop doing that too, I think.
Well, it's okay. And don't ever beat yourself up. It's very hurtful to run away from love. And that's what our egos, that's what this program, that's what these shadows that you call demons, that's what they do. They say, well, she's not appreciating you. Well, that hurts. And in actuality, I have found, like me and my partner, we're on two totally different wavelengths, but it's really important because he's the grounded one. And he has to be grounded for me because I'm up in the sky.
Yeah, y'all balance each other out.
If I had somebody like me,
yeah,
I'd be an absolute mess. Right?
Yeah.
So to learn to not expect them to have anything, if you need to feel appreciated, that's a part of your program that's trying, that your soul is trying to heal. Okay. And as soon as we run from love, it gets hard. But to honor, like just to honor somebody else's path, if you can stand in that light, usually the other person starts resonating to you because they want to feel that light and free.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Get what you're saying.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but let me ask you this question. You said it keeps you in the air, right? But are you not learning to be a little bit like, is it not causing you to be a little more grounded? Like, because it's balancing you out? Because I guess I believe in that kind of balance, that thing, you know, sometimes people can influence you that way, you know, like all the elements in the pinnacle kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, it does. Because like, for me, I'll go days and days where like I'm channeling all the time. And I did that. And like this morning when I woke up, I was shaking for like 2 hours. I couldn't stop shaking and I couldn't get grounded to even make food.
Oh man.
And so yes, I need him because he hasn't been here this week. So I'm channeling because it's my passion. Right. Mm-hmm.
Does he get upset with you though?
Make me more,
because you're not grounded?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Does he get upset with you or irritated because you're not grounded though, kind of thing? Just curious.
I've never ever known him to. I think early in our relationship, you know, that was all the two people not understanding each other. We have 100% acceptance of each other. 100%.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Now, yeah, and it's honor. You know, that energy where I went to my near-death experience, and I saw all these beings. I mean, they were the embodiment of love. They weren't loving each other. They were well beyond that. That's our concept. It's our concept that we need because we have suffering on this plane. And it was kind of more like honor. I mean, if you could imagine honoring everyone's path, I promise you would be completely out of the way for people that would be mismatches to you or who would hurt you in any way. But it takes time. It takes a lot of our own refinement of these aspects of our being to get to that place of that type of honor. But it sure does feel better if we can look at someone who we feel is not appreciating us and just honor them instead of pushing ourselves away.
Mm-hmm. Right? But think about this, but then that's when you probably do attract somebody that appreciates you. It sounds like this guy does appreciate you. You know?
Yes, very much. And that's what it is. I mean, you know, it took me a lifetime. I'm 51 now. It took me a long time because there were lots of for me, it was a lot of different past lives. It wasn't just that one. There was a lot of other things, you know, memories, pains, gosh, these relationships that would come up with it. And for most people, here's a good example, Joe. A lot of us have had really big, substantial lives, okay? Like in Atlantis or Lemuria or in Egypt, wherever, okay?
Right. Yeah.
And a part of us remembers that way of living.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right, and you look at this world, and you're like, "What the?
Yeah, what the hell is this?" Right? Yeah.
What the hell is this? How could this be real? You can't even believe why people make the decisions or do what they do. So that's another reason people can come in and feel like depression or something like that. It's not that there's something missing per se. It's that they know inside of themselves that they have all this power. And by power, I don't mean power over. It's ability to affect anything around them for the good. And they know it. See if I can say this correctly, okay? How can you really be depressed if you don't even know that there's something wrong or missing? You have to know that there's something really good out there a really good feeling. You must be connected to it. You have to be connected to it to even feel like there's something wrong.
Boy, do I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Yeah. And some people come in missing that part of themselves, and they're looking, they're so desperately searching for those soulmates or twin flames, or for me, it was just the people I worked with, like these masters. And so it was like work partnerships, and you miss them, and you're looking and you're searching, and it's interesting because some of those beings, they just aren't incarnated right now. Like mine aren't. Okay.
Can I tell you a quick story real quick? You could.
Please do. I want to hear it.
Well, you could actually miss something that's right. Damn it. Maybe one day I'll be able to tell this story, but you could actually miss something that's right under your nose because you're too caught up in your own pain. You see?
Right. Yes.
That happens. And so if you're lucky, that person, job, friend, whatever they are to you or whatever it is, they'll speak out loud enough to get your attention, but sometimes they don't, and you miss them. I'm telling you, I think that happens. I think there's these timeline things where it's like, I gave you this, you wanted all this stuff. I gave it to you, put it right in front of you, and you didn't go after it. So don't blame me when, you're doing this over life at the end of your life.
Thank you. Yes.
Like it was there.
That's exactly what happened to me in the corporate world. It was literally handed to me that I could leave, and fear set in, and I didn't. And guess what happened? I got really injured.
When you say injured, what do you mean? Like you got in a wreck or something, or what happened?
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's stuff that I'm really legally not allowed to talk about completely because it was a workplace. I'm prying too much. I'm sorry. No, I'd like you to pry. What I can say is that, yes, it was. There was a team building with race cars. Okay.
Uh-huh.
That was the start of it. And it was a neck, and it was serious bulging discs. And that escalated from a job that I did. And but yeah, when I left, they were never allowed to do race car events or go-karts ever again.
Crazy.
I thought that was the crazy team building. How about a team building? You have all these competitive people together on a racetrack. What do you think they're going to do? Well, somebody hit me head on. And so, because he hit the wall and turned around full speed, which they said was the equivalent of 60 or 65 miles per hour on the highway, and I got hit head on. That's part of it. So the neck injury was really bad, and it hit a nerve, and it took 18 months of physical therapy. Now, I took that for me to be able to function, and then I had to hold my arm up. Like, if it dropped, the pain would just be a 10, be searing. And the beauty was, I told you I walked out of the corporate world, but I didn't give them my resignation letter. I just left. Okay.
I did the same thing.
I didn't say I quit. Yeah, did you? Yeah, nothing. So over a year later, where I'm still in all this pain, I'm in Sedona, and I go back for Christmas, and in the mail is a letter that they had written me over a year later. It was like so crazy, and it was on December 5th. I'll never forget. The letter was dated. Like, Michelle, you haven't been to work for like 500 and some days. It was like crazy like that. And they said, if you aren't here by December 5th, we'll take that as your resignation. Well, you know what that meant to me?
Yeah.
Freedom. Guess what happened? The next morning I woke up, my pain was gone.
Yeah, your exterior world totally, yeah, reflected your interior world because you made that leap. You took that leap, and all your blocks were gone. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And the interior world is free, you know, and it is trusting and bountiful. It contains everything in it. So all is possible. And we just let our worries get in the way, right? And once we learn to just trust and receive, and how incredibly we need to receive, we are divine beings. We're not just here to give. We have to receive from the universe as well. A lot of people aren't trained that way. They're made, they're told about guilt. And so once you do that, things just start appearing, and they start appearing, and you just trust it more, and you trust it more. And you start learning all the parts of your consciousness, all the parts. Your dream state, the Bardo state, the in-between states. That's where you're speaking.
What'd you call it?
Yes.
The Bardo state?
Oh, the Bardo is like Tibetan, the word. I think that's what we call the Tibetan Book of the Dead, but it's not. It's about the Bardo, or the in-between states. That's where we're working out all this stuff that we're worried about on this plane. So it's like, sleep is to erase everything from the day before, but we don't do that. We take it with us. So then we'll have dreams that might be indicative of all the things that, the turmoil or confusion. Or you can let it go into that state. That's the state where we're working this stuff all out.
Yeah.
Let them talk to you. The masters, let them talk to you and receive that message. That's where we're working it out, is in our sleep and many other, dimensions of our being. But it is, it gets...
This whole show is about the Bardo state. You know that, right?
Yes. But I didn't quite understand that question.
This whole show is about we talk about astral travel and dreaming like a lot on this show.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah. A ton. I know you have no idea. You have no idea. Like, I'm sure even my audience is like, why are you tripping out right now? They know that I don't sound right now because it's one synchro right after the other that you're saying. But anyways, before you, because we got to end this thing, I might do like a little 10, 15 minute, whatever thing for the patrons with you. But here's the thing. You said something about in your introduction about using the voice. I think I read that.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
The voice.
Using the powers of the mind, voice, and presence to awaken the authentic being hiding within. I'm more curious about the voice part, honestly.
Yeah. Who's doing the speaking? That's the question.
Right.
So people use like manifestation techniques, and they got their ego involved. That's not who does the commanding, okay? The one who does the commanding from the powers is your presence. It is, if you can call it your I am presence, your higher consciousness. That's where you can really command stuff. And what do you want to command? All that it is.
Everything.
See, we're expanding, right? Our souls are actually evolving, and we're bringing more of this consciousness through us. That's the natural state of the universe. Now, when you can talk from that space, you are commanding your true self into this manifested world. For some people, like myself, that's one of my main vehicles for healing. Like I do Reiki with the hands and whatever, but there's nothing like the voice healing work that I do with people, because I take them to that place. I bring their presence in, and I bring the healing through my voice, and they start matching up with it, and they start remembering. They start seeing their own spirit guide.
Yeah.
They start remembering their original inspiration. They start remembering who they really are. And they start seeing like, oh my gosh, these are just patterns that are falling away from me. And I've just been fighting to keep the old patterns. Okay. They allow themselves to heal. They allow themselves to shift into a higher consciousness, just the way I saw in my near-death experience. Okay. I saw that they are constantly giving voice energies as well. They're constantly talking to us. They send very unique vibrations through the dolphins, Joe. That was the most interesting thing, is when I'm in someplace else, looking down at Michelle and looking at the world, I'm watching these angelic-like, I'm not sure where they're from. I think they were another one of the Sirius planets. These tall blondes, beautiful angelic beings. They have these dolphins, and they're literally sending these vibrations through the dolphins, through down to earth. That voice of the dolphins is actually resonating with our higher consciousness. And it's actually always there trying to remind us of who we are.
Wow.
So so the creating forward classes are about that. They're not something you sit down with pen and paper and try to learn and think about. You just listen, because it's the consciousnness of your original soul field, that place where you're radiant, free, abundant, and complete. If you can keep matching up to that, radiance, freedom, abundance, completion, have people around you that match up with at least one of those. Mm-hmm. You listen to the Creating Forward courses, okay? It's just like the tuning forks. You start resonating to that. And it's, like you said, it's always right here. It's underneath our noses. I'm watching the amount of beings, the masters, the angels, all these beings, literally just sending droves of white light, droves of high energy, like scratching their heads, saying, what in the world are you people doing? What in the world are you doing?
Yeah.
You're making a mess out of life. You're making suffering. And they're just sending droves of this beautiful white light and information to us. Yeah. And they also do it through a voice that the ears can't always hear. It's there. It's in right above the ear cavity. There is a place where we can hear them. We hear them a lot of times upon waking. You may just hear a voice, Yeah. And you think, what was it? Yeah.
Well, listen, hey, we have to end the live show, but I do want to just continue that thought just for a few more minutes for our members. But
sure.
Thank you for coming on the show. Really, I appreciate it.
I'm absolutely pleased, Joe. I wish you the best and hope we talk again.
Yeah, we definitely will. And just hang out for a second, because we're gonna do. I gotta put you there for the patrons too, for that what you're talking about now. And you guys go to the website, both websites actually, michellefaithlucas.com and creatingforward.com. The book. What date is the book coming out before I roll out of here?
Creating Forward books, they start coming out in October, but the course is online for only $52 right now. And you get 2 lessons a month for 7 months.
Fantastic.
So it's not so you resonate to it, and then you just do nothing, and you allow the universe to conspire to organize itself to show you your next best step forward. So it's 2 classes a month, and it's at creatingforward.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Yeah, thank you so much. You're saying my pleasure, right? Yeah, I got you. And Ryan Gable's coming on next, guys. Thank you, patrons. I got to get out of here. I'm so sorry. Thank you for the Fringe FM team, you guys in the chat room, all of you. I love you. We'll be back tomorrow night. Good night.
FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised.